Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Breakthroughs with Bre. I am so excited that you are here today and for this very magical special episode. Before we get into that, you know that on this podcast, we're having breakthroughs about our spiritual and personal development journeys to live our most authentic and free and joyous and authentic lives that we want to live. My name's Bre. I am a healing and soul alignment coach who uses her modalities in Akashic Records channeling, energy healing, astrology, and tarot reading to help my clients tap into their most soul aligned and authentic lives. On that note, healingwithbre.net is where you can go to work with me either for single sessions, if you just like want one session to bring through guidance and information to help you really like break through certain blocks or patterns, or maybe connect with like clarity about how you really want to move forward and feel that really empowered, deeply connected kind of energy when like you're really plugged into like your soul place, your spirit place, right? I bring through a lot of messages in all of those different modalities, and most of them have like a single session you can book on my website. My favorite thing that I do though is I help people take those messages that they get from things like psychic readings or big breakthroughs and downloads that they have, and they when they ask themselves the questions, how do I make that happen? Like, how do I integrate that information? How do I heal that big area that my guides brought through was like really blocking me? That is what inspired me creating my coaching containers for 3 or 6 months. In those containers, we are working together really closely to do very deep healing and transformation work. It's kind of like therapy on steroids, to be honest, because the depth of which you're getting to the core of the issues, the core belief, the core experiences that informed you to act or think or believe the ways that you are. Like we're identifying and I'm providing you not only with the structures and the processes to use to shift that, but we're also working with your guides and doing energy work like all throughout to help really amplify that experience. So you're like jumping on a rocket ship into your healing in these containers. So if you are somebody who maybe identifies with struggling with things like people pleasing or being a high achiever or feeling like the pressure, like you always got to do it right and you feel like you got to do all the things but you've turned to this like spiritual kind of life where really what you want is ease and bliss and abundance, and you know that there's more magic in store for you. You know that there's an intuitively led life, maybe a soul calling that's really pulling you there, but you've just had a really hard time breaking through, again, maybe some of these beliefs, thought patterns, etc., fears, to really embody that and live that kind of life. And you're like, I am ready to embrace that. I'm ready to give myself the life that I know that I came here to live. I'm working with you in 3 or 6 month containers to really support you in doing that. I gotta say, I'm really good at helping you see and like reflect back to you like where the sticking point is and really supporting you and helping you move forward in a way that again is really authentic and soul aligned. There's a lot of magic you can create in your life when you're plugged into that place. And I would so love to help you do that. So go to healingwithbre.net if you would be interested in seeing what that would look like. I also have individual coaching sessions if you just want to get a flavor of what that would be, or if there's just one single topic for now that you would like support on. So go look at that to your heart's content. On today's podcast episode, we are talking about ETs. We're talking about starseeds. We're talking about intergalactic beings. We're talking about aliens, all of that fun stuff. We're talking with a wonderful woman who identifies herself as a starseed and has had spent a lot of time connecting with the energies of both extraterrestrials, intergalactic beings, as well as a lot of like earth energies and nature energies, and trying to feel both ends of that spectrum of like really being connected in her humanity as well as her starseed origins. And she has so much wisdom. She has so much wonderful perspective to offer us, as well as answering some of just like my burning questions about what all of that energy is like. So, this is going to be an episode that not only is going to be so beautiful and moving for people who feel like they might identify really strongly with that kind of like starseed experience, but also for all of us who, maybe don't feel that way or feel like we are pretty rooted in our human experience. Everybody across the whole spectrum is going to get so much from this conversation. So I really hope that you guys enjoy it. All right, everybody. for the podcast episode today. I'm so excited to say that we have the wonderful, the beautiful Miroslava, the metaphysical chick on Instagram, if you've already been following her, who is a psychic channel and healer who's really here to be a multiverse ambassador and Starseed Mentor. And I can't wait for you guys to hear more about what that means. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you. I was going to say welcome, but no, thank you for having me, for allowing me to just use my voice and to share multiversal perspectives. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I just as a little background to everybody, I first got connected with Miroslava on an event that I did with Bre Pizarro, which I've had on the podcast talking about the Akashic record. She held an event and and Miroslava came and channeled. She channeled some intergalactic beings and some messages from them that really impacted me so deeply that there are things that I still think about today. I'll share, I'm getting the thought to like share a little bit about one of them was. So I don't even remember which being it was or if it was a named being that you had brought through as much as
It
it was
was, yeah, I believe it was Ashtar, the one that's
yes.
the main one that I was connecting to. Yeah.
Okay, that makes total sense. And you say that name and that triggers for me. So what, and I feel like he, I don't know if the pronoun is accurate for him, but it felt like
Mhm.
maybe a little bit more of a masculine energy. The
Yeah.
message that he came through with was basically about like why we lament over or judge our shadow. Like
Mhm.
why, like why we feel the need to think that it's such a bad thing that we have darkness or that we have shadow or that we have pain, when from their perspective it's part of what makes this so beautiful. Like when you think about a painting and you think about contrasting colors, like if there was no contrast, there would be literally no painting. It would just all be
Mhm.
one tone, right? But it's the contrast and like the depth and the lightness and all this kind of stuff of different colors that brings it to life. Like it's literally what helps make it beautiful. So instead of like thinking about like, oh, we have to like get over our shadow, we have to get over our pain, like we have to get over all of those things. Like, what if that was part of what made this so beautiful? Because from their perspective, which is like really a big part of the value that they want to offer to us, is how they can look at our experience through a totally different lens. Like it's
Mhm.
one of the things that makes this type of experience so beautiful. And it like it moved something in me. It awoken something in me. I've thought about that so many times since then. And that was years ago that this happened.
Mhm. Yeah.
It was powerful. And so anyway, I've it's like literally been on my wish list to have her on the podcast. And so I'm so excited to have you on today. Thank you so much.
Again, thank you. No, thank you for just again for giving me the space, and also about all of that, all of the I totally forgot about that when I'm like channeling and sharing perspectives. I'm just a vessel for them to communicate. And so that was such a great reminder for me as well. And especially, because of everything that is happening within the collective, there's a lot of the shadow that is showing up, not only within our individual lives, but just like the collective shadow is really showing up. But it's a great reminder for us to know that, hey, we look up to these extraterrestrial beings, but they are looking at us with just so much pride
Mhm.
and just really honoring our evolution as humans, because we're here to be humans, and the shadow is part of this humanity of who we are as a collective consciousness. So yeah.
Absolutely. I love every piece of that.
Mhm.
Okay, so usually where we start is hearing a little bit about you via some of those fun, like personal spiritual development tools, like astrology, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll start. Do you know your big three in astrology, and would you share that with us?
So I am a Gemini sun, I am an Aquarius moon, and a Cancer rising. So yeah,
I
that's the big
love
three.
that. I'm a Cancer rising too. So I love a
Oh,
little bit
there
of
you go.
synergy there.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
love my Geminis because I'm Virgo, like we talked about before this, I'm a Virgo sun and a Virgo Mercury, and that's all in
Mhm,
my third house. So I'm very
mhm,
Mercury influenced. So my
mhm.
Geminis are like my Mercury sisters. You know what I mean? Like there's just,
Yeah.
we understand each other, you know?
Yes, we do. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then some of the other things I like to ask guests about. Do you know your human design by chance? Do you know your numerology? Like tell me a little bit
Mhm.
more.
Yes, so I am a number 9 life path. And in human design, I'm not really familiar with everything, but I do know that I am a projector. And the only center that I have that is strong is the solar plexus. Everything else is I don't know if they call it open or just
Yeah,
like, yeah,
undefined.
yeah. So the only one that that works for me, I guess, is the solar plexus.
I had somebody on, I've had a couple people on about human design, so I've started to learn more about it too. And what they've said about like the open versus defined is like when we have like our own energy that we're generating in like
Mhm.
regards to that. And then the rest of them are ones that we're like taking things in and we're mulling it over and
Yeah.
we're responding and we're receiving and we're learning. And I think
Mhm.
both sound like a rad experience, just different. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And actually that makes a lot of sense that a lot of them are open for me because from whenever I was, just very little, I've always been like a sponge. And I really feel like I'm very easily influenced. So
Yeah.
it's been a journey for me to really establish my own belief system and to start, making up my own reality and understanding what I truly feel and think rather than what other people are projecting. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I'm sure we'll get into a little bit of that life path 9 stuff too. So I'm not ignoring that because that feels significant. But for the last of the ones, like have you ever done like a Myers-Briggs? Have you ever done an Enneagram? Like any of those
Mm.
other kind of personality tests or anything like that?
Yeah, I think it's the Myers-Briggs one that I've done, and that's the INF,
Yeah.
those letters, right? Yeah, I think I am INFT. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one. I hear a lot of
Cool.
people saying INFJs and how much like how special those are, but I'm not really familiar with it. I just know that I am an INFT. Yeah.
Nice. And then my last question, arguably the most important, which Hogwarts house do you feel like that you would
Oh
be
my
in?
god. Heck yes, I love this. I am a Ravenclaw.
Oh, yay.
100% Ravenclaw. Yeah, yeah. I've taken that test so many times, and it's always been Ravenclaw. So, yeah, I'm proud to be in
I
that house.
love that. I'm a proud Hufflepuff. Both me and my husband are proud Hufflepuffs.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
okay. So, thank you for sharing all of those things with us. I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your story. How you came into this work. Maybe it's a little bit about like where you are in the world, since thankfully, with like, doing stuff virtually, we can connect with people and all of like whatever parts of your story you feel like you want to share that tell us a little bit about like who you are and your experience coming into the work that you're doing now.
yeah. Well, I'm actually, when it comes to like business wise, I'm very new to this thing, like just offering services. And, I also have like an Etsy shop. It's the Metaphysical Chick. I have crystal jewelry that I channel and I code with different frequencies and extraterrestrial consciousnesses. But this is all very new to me. I've always been well, I'm going to go back to my childhood and how everything just happened. I really feel that I am here on this earth for the first time as a human. Like, I really struggled so much just integrating within society and understanding the human emotions, understanding the physical body. And so I remember I have this very vivid memory of when I was probably about 4, 5, 6 years old. And I think I was in the bathroom or something, and there was a knife in the bathroom. And I don't know why. I just wanted to kill myself. I was like, I don't know why. And at the time I was so little, so I didn't really understand. But then doing a lot of the work that I've been doing, shadow work, healing, I came to the realization that I just didn't want to be human. And actually, a few days ago, I've been doing a lot of work and I've been becoming aware of a lot of trauma. And one of the things that I became aware of is that I was holding a lot of anger because of I felt and I feel like everything that we feel is very valid. There are different perspectives, but I felt that I was forced to come to Earth. And that's what a lot of the anger that I was feeling and kind of repressing within myself came from. And so, yeah, so I am a starseed. I came into this world and I've been, I'm just here to explore the human experience and to I feel it's to learn how to be human. Because, yes, a lot of people that do resonate with the term star seeds that do come from other star systems or extraterrestrial consciousnesses, we come here, yes, to bring information, to anchor codes and high vibrational frequencies to elevate the earth and to bring it to a new form. But I also feel that we are here to be human, to experience humanity, and to have this kind of like, we're adding just more stuff into our curriculum, and we're learning. It's all about learning. So yeah, so that's what I feel like I am here to do. And again, I just feel, and this is something that I love talking about, because I rejected my humanity so much. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I became aware of this.
Mm,
And I feel that the rejection of your human, of your body, because we feel like the body is such a limitation for us,
mhm,
especially, if you have memories of being in other places, it feels very limiting. And I feel that, we're just here to find comfort in the discomfort, and to be at peace with that, and to remember who we are, so that we can anchor those energies within the physical body. So it is
mhm,
all about being anchored and grounded, and being at peace again within the physical vessel. So yeah, so that's I feel I feel that pretty much sums up who I am and what I am here to do. But yeah, I just feel that a lot of starseeds do struggle a lot growing up, because they just feel like they don't fit in. They're the black sheep of the family. They're too weird or crazy. And I think it's just, it's safe for you to be who you are, and love everything that makes up who you are as a human.
mm.
Yeah.
Oh, that is just so moving. Like my heart. Oh, if you see me on video, I'm like my hands over my heart. Like I just love it so much. And I'm like still soaking in what you said. It just was so beautiful. And I feel like it was
Mhm,
so heart-centered too. I've had the absolute honor of doing channeling sessions for a number of different people who the Akashic Records keepers have told us that they really do identify with this kind of starseed term, or having really strong connections with sort of like non-human or non-earth kinds of incarnations, or like however you want to call it, right? And not only are these souls like, can you just feel the love, which I think is true for all of us because that's just the nature of the divine. But there's really this like beautiful intention to like bring things that are going to expand love. But I've
mhm,
also really seen even through those sessions that there is a lot of turmoil in trying to like get your bearings, and like trying to like find your feet on the ground. And what's interesting is I feel like to some extent all of us have a purpose of integrating our humanness. Like that's the goal for all of
mhm,
us, right? And that's
mhm,
different for all of us depending on kind of the unique flavor of our soul and our past soul experiences. All of us have that job. All of us are taking that in to a certain extent, and all of us have a certain something that we are here to offer that is valuable to the collective, or else we wouldn't have incarnated, you know? Like, and that's true for all of us. Again, it's just kind of a different flavor of it. But I definitely have seen and heard and witnessed a theme from all of my lovely souls out there that again have this really strong connection to maybe more of like an intergalactic type of experience, and it feeling really, really, really
mhm.
difficult to just kind of like make peace with even like being in the earth and in the
Yeah.
human game at all.
Mhm.
So I think it's really so powerful. And I just want to thank you for your vulnerability and sharing that that was hard for you. And that even now, like you're just even now starting to feel deeper and deeper areas of peace about it. Because I think that that's gonna resonate with a lot of people.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and definitely if anyone that's listening to this and really is resonating, just know that you are here, that even though it felt like, in my case, I feel like in some way I felt like I was being forced to be here. I do feel that the choice is ours at the end of the day. No one can force you to do anything. So if you're here, it is because you made the choice. You knew that you could handle the density of this planet, and you knew that there was a purpose, and that you were, yeah, you were going to be helping and being on a mission of service to assist other people, but this was also for you to learn and to grow as an individual soul, as an individual consciousness. And so definitely just remember that just remember that anytime it feels like you're about to give up, because it does get easier the more that you accept who you are as a human. I feel like that's so important. It's just honoring and loving your humanity. And I feel that when you do that, when you make peace with the fact that you are physical, that you're in a three-dimensional experience, that you have emotions, that you have needs and desires, that you have an ego, and sometimes that ego is huge. When you make peace with those little aspects of you, I feel like the experience just becomes much easier to handle. But then also it just becomes fun. It's fun, and it's like, yeah, I am struggling, but I'm learning in the process, and just focus on that. I feel it's gonna make it a lot easier.
Oh, that's beautiful. And frankly, I think all of us who maybe wouldn't identify in that category can also
Hmm.
take a lot of wisdom from that. So I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's I honestly, well, from my perspective, I feel that yeah, there are people that do resonate a lot with the term starseed, that did come here from other star systems and are here for the very first time. But my perspective is that everyone is a starseed, that we're not here on Earth. We did not originate here on Earth. Maybe some souls did, but I feel that most of the souls on this planet come from other galactic races, or like even other universes. So anyone, I feel like I see everyone as a star seed. It's just that a lot of people, some people resonate with that term, other people don't. Maybe other people have had hundreds, even maybe thousands of lifetimes on this planet. That's why they resonate most with being human.
Mhm.
But I think that everyone is a star seed. So yeah.
I honestly actually 100% agree with that. I
Hmm.
feel like the way that it's been shown to me and the way I experience it is that some people have had more like incarnations as a human. And so there's a certain access to that human experience, or being able to tap into that kind of like acceptance of like the human condition or something that is
Hmm.
like a little bit more accessible, it feels like. Perhaps maybe is that, guys, is that how you would want me to? Yeah, it feels a little more familiar because you've done it a few more times and you have that soul memory. But like
Yeah.
really the origins of like other experiences that we've had, again, I agree with you that most of us absolutely have lineage and incarnations and experiences that are not just human. They are not just on this earth. They're from other places. So yes, I think most people are star seeds. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's really a hot take, but that's always how I felt about it. So it's kind of nice to know that
I
you
mean,
who like specialize with that a little bit more feel the same way.
yeah, and I feel this is such an important thing for everyone to at least be aware of, because I'm just going to go into my experience when I was, becoming aware of my starseed uh origin, quote unquote, or the connections that I have with otherworldly consciousnesses. I There was a time, a point in which my ego was very just like, oh, feeling good about about itself. And so I felt that, oh, I'm better than all humans because I'm a star seed, because I'm an alien, like I'm not even from here, like who are you? And so it gets to your ego, and I feel that, it make become aware of the fact that you're not, I mean, we're all unique and special, but at the same time, it's like you're not so special. So it's so weird, but it's like, just remember that we're all equal and we're all here learning, and that yes, from one perspective, we're all extraterrestrials, and we're all just here on a journey of, elevating our individual spirit and consciousness. So yeah, I think
Absolutely.
it's important to remember that, not let the ego, get ahead of you.
Yes. And I'm so happy you said this because I think I saw somewhere on social media somebody talking about how they didn't really like the term star seeds. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, why wouldn't they like it? And when I read more about it, really what they were saying was that they don't like how people use the concept of star seeds to create some sort of separation or
Mhm.
superiority, right? Because that's another ego human mind thing that's replicated in many other systems that are not
Yeah.
producing a lot of good things for society. But like at the very like that's really what they were talking about. And I was like, okay, well, I can understand that because I don't know that I'm necessarily looking at star seeds, or I've even really interacted with star seeds that are trying to say I'm somehow better or more evolved or like more wise or something. That's not really the point. That's not really the
Hmm.
vibe. It's
Hmm.
really just like like a metaphor I think about is like if there's like a town of people that like have never moved from the town and everybody stays in the town, right? And like they're just living their life or whatever, they're trading services and goods and they do the things that they do. And somebody from a whole nother town that maybe they did or didn't know even existed comes and lives in the town. They're all exactly the same kind of beings. And what they were doing, even in their other town, like had a lot of commonalities. It just was different. And so
Yeah.
now this other person gets to be like, oh, like people can ask them and be like, oh, how did you do this? Or like, oh, we did it this way. Or oh, we kind of thought about it this way. And like, it's just like an opportunity to kind of like mind share, be
Hmm.
like navigating the experience.
Hmm.
And so like even like on a very basic level, it's kind of like that's like a very like simplified way that I kind of think about it. Like it's just an opportunity to connect and to share
Yeah.
and to expand and to diversify, really.
Hmm.
And like the question of superiority or better or worse than or more evolved or not, it like doesn't even feel like it's a part of the equation
Yeah.
unless the ego's hijacking the situation, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very distorted perception of reality. And I feel that's, unfortunately, that's how the whole world pretty much behaves with religion or different political parties. There's so much separation that we are creating
Mhm.
as a collective consciousness. But it's like when we become aware that we are, regardless of color or like skin,
Yeah.
whatever ethnicity, that we are all human, and that's the race, just human race.
Mhm.
And within the human lies spirit and energy to me it's God, source, creator, or it's I really I and even when I tune into different collectives of extraterrestrials, yeah, I give them an identity, by maybe giving them a name, or the way sometimes they show up. Like, I don't see them physically, but like I see them in my mind.
Mhm.
And so they show up with different bodies and they look different. But at the end of the day, it's all energy, and that same energy runs through everything that lives within the universe. Stay the same, regardless of how we look like or what we refer to ourselves as. So it's all one.
I love that. And just so you know, and everybody will probably heard it, we got like a little bit of a glitch as you were saying that. But frankly, I
Yeah.
think the little glitch was like the energies being like, yes, they're like getting really
Yeah.
excited about that. So I feel
Yeah.
like they emphasized that a little bit.
Yeah. I do apologize for that because
No, it's not
it really just happens. But yeah.
nothing to apologize for. Okay, let's take a quick break and then we're going to come in and we're going to talk more about ETs, star seeds, about it all. Okay, everyone, now we get to get into all the good stuff, the fun stuff, ET, star seeds, extraterrestrials, all of it. Okay, I know that you had just mentioned that sometimes like you would give them names or some sort of identity, and really that feels like it's just a function of the ego to be able to like identify and like bring in specific stuff. But it feels like where I want to start is like, what would you want to share about like the different names for all of this stuff, or even people being like kind of attached to the different categories, or like some people talk about different races of star seeds or like all that kind of stuff. I kind of feel like I'd like to hear your thoughts about that whole thing in general
Mhm.
and like how you approach like understanding intergalactic energies and like how naming or labeling like may or may not come into the conversation about it.
Yeah. I don't really resonate too much on putting different consciousnesses into groups or labels. I do that, especially on social media, because that's what people are looking for. They look specifically for like Pleiadians or for like Andromedans or Syrians. But personally, me, I don't really like labels or grouping things because I feel like it creates more separation. And like I was saying at first, I really do see everything as energy.
Mhm.
But and I really feel like, especially what I witness, what I see in social media or on TikTok, specifically TikTok, because that's where I do more of the scrolling. I see a lot of people that, whenever they talk about extraterrestrials, they get so focused on like the name of the race, or like the different characteristics of let's say a Pleiadian star seed, or like how they look. And I what I see a lot as well is that whenever they say like the starseed characteristics of a Pleiadian, you look this way, you have a lighter skin tone, or you have blue eyes. And it's like that has nothing to do with the energy. When you become human, you are embodying energy and you are inheriting genes from your ancestral line. So you're probably not going to look like a Pleiadian being. But I feel like it creates a lot of distortion, especially within people that are new to the whole star seed and to the whole extraterrestrial thing. So I try whenever I do channel and post anything on social media, I say, this is what it feels to me like a Pleiadian consciousness coming in. Take it if it resonates. If it doesn't, then you can just don't listen to it. I usually don't get names of specific beings. And I feel like, again, they always show up and they say, it's not about the name. Like, let's remove the identity of this energy and let's just present the information as it's showing. And I feel that that helps us remove more of the identity and focus more on the message. And that to me is the most important thing, because that can be very distracting for a lot of people, focusing on other things rather than the core message that they are bringing. So yeah, to me, it creates a bit of distortion and it creates more separation. And so I like focusing on more so bringing in the energy, and hopefully people, whenever they hear the message, they feel the energy within themselves. I always say, feel, don't think about what I'm saying, like really tune into the feeling. How is it making you feel? And that's when you know if it's meant to be for you, or that's when, you know, sometimes you get more maybe validation for your experiences, or you will start to see things within your mind and remember things. So yeah, I don't really like the labels or the names, but I use them because social media wants them. But you know, I
Yeah.
hope that made sense.
Yes, no, and I am like exactly on the same page with you. Like even when I'm channeling through information, I feel like labels or names can be offered sometimes as a way to sort of like help support the messages that come
Mhm.
through. Like sometimes it can be helpful to like kind of feel like, oh, this is coming through a loved one or this is coming through this. Like sometimes it can support, it can enhance in different situations, like maybe the core message or the energy, but sometimes it really doesn't. And
Yeah.
like you said, like that's not really the point of it anyway. And the big thing that I've said time and time again, which you also just said, and even just a little bit of a different way, is that what makes a message or a healing powerful for you is how it resonates with you.
Mhm.
And resonance is a feeling of like how energy matches, vibrates with the energy that's in your own body, right? So, like you tuning into your body and the feelings in your body, and how does that hit you when
Yeah.
you listen to it? Like, that is what makes information true. That's what makes psychic guidance or what, like, that's what makes it true for you. And if it doesn't feel like that, then it's not meant for you. It's not true for you. Let it go, like let
Mhm.
it keep flowing down the stream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just such a powerful point of like alchemy to like take in something and realize that it's awakening or it's true or it's like affirming something within you. And that's really the point for receiving any kind of information, whether you are intentionally seeking out ET, intergalactic guidance, or any other kind of guidance. So I'm 100% with you on that.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
okay, what do you feel like is one of the best things that connecting with maybe some like more of like an extraterrestrial or intergalactic perspective has for us. Like if people maybe are looking at, feeling really drawn towards, maybe like working with a channeler who connects with those energies, or they themselves are seeking out information that's said to be from those kinds of sources, or they're feeling when they're doing their own intuitive work really drawn towards energy that kind of is identifying itself as that. Like, what do you feel like is some of the best things that that energy, that perspective has to offer us?
From one perspective, I feel that it helps us because we see those beings are being at a higher level than we are. So it's like it works, it does something with our mind or like with our brains, that it's like, oh, maybe we respect their perspectives more because we see them as these like higher dimensional beings. So I think that's why a lot of people do like going towards, you know, channelers that do extraterrestrial work. But I feel for me, it's more so, again, it's like I want a different perspective. I am always surrounded by humans. I want to see how extraterrestrials see humans. I want to see, because we are human. We're so familiar with like humanity and like society and how everything works. but it can be a very distorted perception of the actual reality that is taking place. So that's why I like sometimes going to extraterrestrials, because they see everything without distortion. It's they're not here with us and being programmed with different, like codes or belief systems. They have a completely just 360 view of the planet, I feel. And so I like going to them because the perspective that they are giving me is so neutral, and it is so just I feel like there's no ego whenever I go to those higher dimensional beings or
Mm,
extraterrestrials. If you go towards, connecting with extraterrestrials, definitely tune into the intention that you have within yourself. Like, do you want to go for them because you truly want a perspective that resonates, or that is undistorted, or are you going with them because you just want to feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of ego that
yeah,
is infused within people's intentions. And
yeah,
I don't have the words to exactly describe this,
yeah, yeah,
but it's
yeah,
like, right, and it's
yeah,
like, make sure that if you are seeking guidance from other beings, you go to channelers or whatever, that it's with the right intentions, because it definitely shapes the entire experience for you, and it just makes it much better. And I say, it's like, if there's a little bit of ego there, it's going to create distortion. And even if the message is coming undistorted, whenever it hits your chakras, your consciousness, your psyche, it's going to get a little bit distorted.
yeah.
So definitely work on that. But yeah, I go for them just to get a big perspective of what is taking place. And that helps me kind of understand everything that's taking place within the earth much better.
I
It's more clear.
Yes, I love that. I love that they have a certain kind of neutrality
Hmm.
and they just like have a vantage point that we don't have. Like
Hmm.
and how I'm feeling it as you're saying it is like it's almost the difference between like looking outside of your own eyes in your own body versus being able to like look through the eyes
Yeah.
of somebody else who's looking at you moving in your body. Like there's certain things you would have never seen outside of your own
Hmm.
eyeballs. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And I think too, like they're like human in our like humanity in our society, like we've been doing this a minute, like we've been here for a minute. So like there's a lot of things that like become so second nature. Like we assume
Hmm.
so much, which is a function of the mind to create efficiency. And it's a wonderful thing. But like what the way that that's the outcome of that is like there's so many things that like we don't even think twice about that like we came to conclusions to hundreds
Yeah.
of years ago, thousands of years ago, and just kept moving with.
Hmm.
And I think one of the coolest things that I've seen, even in again, the like honor of being able to channel for some souls that feel particularly connected to that starseed connection, is that they came into this earth being like, wait a minute, why? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, why would you do it like that? And then I feel like the people around them like scratch their heads going, I don't really know why we do that. We just do. You know what I mean? Like there's this kind of like
Yeah.
there's this kind of like peeling away of the assumptions or there's kind of like deconstruction of like wait why was that all put together the way that it was
Hmm.
and that vantage point that 360 view that does not have the conditioning and like the
Yeah.
assumptions and like the traditions built into it like gives you a whole nother way to process information and to be able to see things and I feel like what that does is that can liberate us to find what is actually authentic and true for us, right?
Hmm.
Maybe the way that our soul wants to move through the world is like doesn't want to be adhering to the ways that human society would tell you to do it, right? And
Yeah.
so maybe it's connecting with a different perspective and kind of seeing the freedom of like you don't have to do it that way.
Hmm.
Here's a totally different way you could do it that doesn't have anything to do with these structures. And I feel like that kind of thing can be so valuable exactly like you said, when your intention for it is so clear. Your intention sets the way for every single thing you do in your life ever, especially connecting with energies like this. So if your intention is maybe I want to be able to learn how to be a more authentic expression of myself. I want to learn how to be a more loving expression of myself. I want to
Hmm.
learn how to be more integrated and connected as opposed to separate or I want to like learn how to move through this suffering without it feeling so dense and difficult and find joy, right? Like you setting really clear intentions about why you're doing the things that you're doing, especially connecting with psychic energies, not only does that help them respond to give you exactly what you want, but I feel like it also kind of like puts little like energetic bumpers up. Like if you think about like a bowling alley, like it puts up
Yeah.
little bumpers to kind of help keep you in that energy as opposed to kind of getting pulled or drawn or like, flowing into other places and spaces that maybe weren't aligned with what you were really wanting in the first place?
Hmm. Yeah. And another thing that I want to add is that, um, and this is just what I've noticed, is that a lot of people do this as a form of escapism because they're bored with their humanity, or like the physicality of it, and they just want to escape and go to different realms and experience different things. So definitely, again, be clear with that intention because it really matters. And a lot of the times, if you are seeking them because you're just not comfortable in your body and you just want to go somewhere else, a lot of the times they won't connect, or they won't engage fully because it's a distraction for you, and they want you to be in the body because you need the body to be human and to do the work that you're here to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
Oh my
definitely
gosh.
be very intentional.
I love that. And be honest with yourself. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. Like you got to start from a place of honesty. Like there's no need to shame yourself. Like if you know you're feeling a little, a little bit of a way, you just want to be in another world. You want to be a little distracted.
Mhm.
Like just start with being honest with yourself about it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I mean, I did plenty of that growing up, and even just a few years back. Like, I was, especially when I first became aware of extraterrestrials and started learning, I think the first extraterrestrial race that I became aware of was the Pleiadians. And that's what I feel I was before I came here to be human. And so, whenever that came to my awareness, I was just like blown away, and I immersed myself in that experience, but
Hmm.
I wasn't in the body. I wasn't grounded. I was fully out of it, just
Hmm.
fantasizing about other things.
Yep.
And that, it created a lot of distortion within my experience. And so there was a point in which I think the family, my extraterrestrial family, they were like, we're too much of a distraction for you. And they completely cut me off. I stopped channeling them. I couldn't feel them. I didn't even dream about them. And so there comes a point in which they're like, okay, you know enough about us, you remember, go back to being human and figure shit out.
Wow,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. Oh my God, that's so cool. I'm so happy you shared that. Um, okay, another question I want to ask is about people's fear or like the um hysteria around like the
Mm,
ET thing.
yeah.
I feel like you know what I mean by that, asking about that. So I would love for you to speak to it a little bit
Yes.
more.
Yeah, well, there's definitely a lot of fear when it comes to extraterrestrials, and I
Mhm.
think that is very valid because there's definitely two sides to the coin. There's the positive and the negative, and it's very much real. But I also feel that the more we are afraid of something, the more it manifests. The more we feed that energy, the more it shows up in our experience. And I feel that's kind of what's happening right now. Because whenever I go to social media, because it's such a huge thing now, social media, I see a lot of people posting videos about how it's like, I don't have an example is specifically, but it's like they are sharing information that is fear based. And maybe their intention is not to make people afraid, and it's just to get clicks and views. But it's like it's really doing something to people's psyche, and it's it's projecting a lot of different distorted programs, and it's just creating mass hysteria. Like, it's really making people afraid of these things. And I really feel, from my perspective, and I don't know if you know about Dolores Cannon. Have you heard about her?
Oh yeah, I
Her
love
books,
her.
yeah, yeah. And I love one thing that she said, and it's that she never encountered a negative extraterrestrial being. And that's been my experience. Like, I've never encountered a negative consciousness or energy. I know it's very much real, and a lot of people do have very negative experiences with these beings. But I feel that it's your perspective of it. It's your intention also, and it's also, I feel like there has to be a code or energy within you that is a match to that vibration for it to manifest in your experience.
A
So it's
hundred
like,
percent.
Yeah, so if there's even a little bit of fear within yourself, or just a little bit of, maybe you watched a movie years ago about abduction, and
Mhm,
there's a program, there's something within yourself, that experience or that energy is going to show up because it is part of you. It's going to be a match to that, even if it's the smallest part within yourself. It's going to show up because it's within your blueprint, within your energy. And so I feel that, before, I always say this, before you go looking for aliens, work on yourself, work on your intention, work on your ego, really deprogram yourself so that you can come into this connection with a clear and neutral perspective.
mm,
And when you come with a neutral perspective, even if, I feel like you're able to just get the vision clearly and get the message clearly. Because what I found is that these beings are very neutral. And they, for example, with the, whatever, everything that's going on with politics, and they're say like the Illuminati, whenever I have conversations with them about this, there's no judgment from them. And it's like there, and I feel that it's because we are here, and we are experiencing this reality, shaping it with our intention and with our choices. So
mhm.
even if you don't agree with what this world government is doing, you have to, in a way, accept that it is their choice. So what choice are you making to hopefully maybe balance the scales and to move things in the positive direction?
Yeah.
Because positive and negative, but I really feel that there's a lot of fear-based perspectives, and just remember that it's all what lies within yourself. That's what aligns you to whatever experience you have. But
Yes.
yeah,
And
yeah.
for me, what has been resonating for me, because I also relate to having to deprogram a lot of fear-based ideas about connecting with spirit in general, like anything that's spirit, especially
Mhm.
like I grew up with a very like dogmatically Christian like background. So like it literally demonized like a lot of this kind of stuff, what has felt really impactful for me is to remind myself of how powerful I am at creating my reality, that there is not a single energy that is more influential over the experience I have than myself,
Yeah,
period. So if I believe that something has more power to influence my experience than me, I am disempowering myself. I'm not remembering, I'm not in the fullness of the truth of who I am, right?
hmm,
And when I like lean into understanding how powerful I am to create my reality, and that's with things like your intention and your awareness and like all these kinds of things, right? Like then I can know what I decide is going to be my experience generally, like my intention is what's going to happen, and like nothing can knock me off base of that. Like
hmm,
when I have that knowing and I know that there's all of these beings that are always supporting and protecting and ensuring and like helping me on for that, like of course nothing, like you know what I mean, like of course it's
yeah,
only ever going to be that. So I find that like deepening into that knowing and that intention only ever makes me feel more and more like safe and at peace, which then opens me up to have more of those kinds of experiences that mirror that same
yeah,
thing. So
yeah.
I'm with you on that 1,000,000%. Um, I know people are going to want me to ask you, like, what are your thoughts about our government now, like, like releasing proof of aliens and like the
Mm.
potential of like aliens interacting with us on the earth? Like, just I know everybody will be curious, like, what are your thoughts in general about that?
Well, from my perspective, I feel like it's positive because it's like it's bringing things to people's awareness.
Mhm.
So at least there's something that is, even if it's not the full truth, we're getting pieces of the truth. And I feel that extraterrestrials have gone mainstream, a huge way, and it's in people's minds. So I think that's great. However, I do feel that the government gives us whatever they want us to know. And it's all about an agenda that they have. That's my perspective.
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah, it's great that we're getting, these pieces of information. But at the end of the day, I feel that they're only giving us pieces that they can control, that they have control over.
yeah.
So, yeah. So
Like take it
I
with a
don't,
grain of salt. It's like,
yeah,
yes, like parts of it are good. The
yeah,
fact that there's like physical material things that are kind of being introduced into consciousness to like, introduce this idea and to like again, like you said, make people aware, that's great. But also like take it with a grain of salt, assume there's probably more to the picture. I always like to employ a healthy amount of skepticism with any kind of information that's introduced to me, like not necessarily from spirit, but just like from humans, I suppose. And I feel like that can help keep us all like really grounded and centered about how
Yeah.
like we digest things,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel discernment right now is such an important part. And we have to just tune into the feeling. Again, like we were saying earlier, is that whenever you see something on the news or you hear someone talking about extraterrestrials or a new body that was found or whatever, tune into the
Yeah.
feeling. And if it feels right, then embrace it. But if it doesn't feel right, then just keep scrolling and you don't have to focus your energy on that because
Yeah.
there's a lot of focus also on like false flag like extraterrestrial invasion that the government is planning, that there's a theory that people have about this. The intention is always to focus on the feeling, what feels right to you, and focus on that vibration so that you can bring more of that into your experience.
Hmm.
uh, because if you focus on the other things, those are going to start showing up. So
Yeah. They'll get
definitely
energized.
make the choice and go with what feels right, I
Yeah. And
think.
I mean, even just in my own personal work, like ET's out, and, not even a part of it. Like, I feel like understanding where our mind has taken over and is focused on survivability, which is really fear, and where we like learn to soothe that to create that safety, like physiologically, so that we can be open to like choose things from a love place, from a joy place, like from a soul place. Like that to me is like a huge part of like the integration of soul and human work, right? And like a big signal, which you've reiterated through this so beautifully, is like, are these things based in fear? Like, are your thoughts based in fear? Is your actions based in fear? Are these beliefs based in fear? Are the things you're consuming, like trying to drive people and entice people based on fear? Like, fear is not an enemy at all. It is a wonderful, wonderful friend, teacher, signaler, all that kind of stuff. But like, I just haven't found that that's the energy to like motivate action. Like, that's not the energy to like drive the ship. That doesn't create the things that we want and love. So like, just being mindful in general, where we
Yeah,
got some fear energy behind things, just is
yeah.
it will serve us. It will serve us a lot.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so other question for you. Um, I wonder, do you is there like a way that you feel after you've connected with some of these energies, like that is a little bit different than before you connect with them? Is there like a certain feeling that we could like maybe notice as like a
Hmm.
signal either that we did connect, or as something that's really beautiful that you get to take away after connecting with these perspectives or these energies, or like however you might call it? Like, I guess I'm
Hmm.
just curious about like that kind of like post connection like experience in your
Yeah.
own self and your body.
During the connection, I get very hot. So I feel a lot of heat in the body and especially in my head. And I feel that's because the crown and the third eye are being open. But I really feel the sensations that I feel that people can look out for. And I'm gonna go with like previous. Let's go with previous, how I feel. So whenever I'm ready and I know that they are ready to communicate and to engage with me, I start to get chills. So notice like those sensations. It's very physical, the sensations that you get.
Mm,
And I feel like this expansion in my heart, in like the heart space. I don't know how to explain it, but it just feels open and you feel at peace and there's no fear. Again, if there's fear, it creates distortion with the communication. So if you're feeling afraid, don't even try and maybe come back later when you're more at peace. So before I communicate, I do pay attention to those signs. And then during the communication, I I really, a lot of the times when I'm channeling, when I'm really really in it, I have to close my eyes because I feel like I'm taking a step back in a way. They're not taking over my body, but I do feel like I have to focus on the message because a lot of the times I don't hear words. I see visuals
mm,
and I feel energy. And then I have to translate those codes and that energy and put them into words. And
mhm,
that's why I always say just everything that I share is my perspective of
mhm,
their message, of their energy.
mhm,
And again, it's like I'm not here saying that I speak the absolute truth. I'm just sharing perspectives. And
mhm,
so, yeah, so I pay attention to that and I start to feel again the chills during the channeling session. I get really hot, especially again, like I said, in my face, my cheeks. And yeah, so that's pretty much how it is. And sometimes I do feel pressure in my head, and it's like not really a full-on headache, but just like pressure and a bit discomfort and thirsty after I finish the session, very thirsty, and I feel like I have to eat something to ground myself back in the body.
Mhm.
And a lot of people say eat fruits and like juices and high vibrational. No, I can't do that. I have to go for like a fatty big meal because that's
Yes.
what brings me back to the body.
Oh my gosh, I'm
Yeah.
so happy you're saying this. This is so crazy that you're saying this because here whoa, this is like a synchronicity for me too, because I've been thinking about like ahead, like before a channeling session, I'm probably not eating anything that's super heavy. Like that might be when I eat something that's lighter, right? But like after the sessions, like what I'm craving is food that feels denser, the food that feels
Mhm.
heavier, like food that like
Yeah.
actually physiologically like diverts blood flow, like diverts like energy into like the lower chakras of my body. Like it's
Mhm.
actually like grounding. And so I know that everybody like has this like big thing of like, oh, only eat like certain kinds of food. Those are the only types that are healthy. I don't know that I buy into that kind of thing. I feel like food and the way that it works in our body all has different kinds of function. It's just like how can you honor what your body feels like it needs? And how can you be mindful of like how it's nourishing your body and like doing that, of course, very intentionally. But I totally agree. After channeling sessions, I'm like, no, I want a big meal. You know what I mean?
That's definitely something that I hear also from a lot of people at channel. And a lot of people they say, eat these foods because they elevate your frequency and you're able to feel more open and high vibrational. But it's like whenever I'm feeling connected and I feel, like these other beings, I have to ground myself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just feel a lot of physical discomfort.
Yeah.
So eating those foods, and even, I was vegan for a very long time, for years. And recently I stopped being vegan. I started introducing animal products because that felt grounding for me.
Hmm.
And it felt more also connected to like the ancestors.
Hmm.
So, it's about what feels right to you, but
Hmm.
this is definitely what works for me energetically.
Oh, 100%. And what's funny too is like I also like have to be mindful of grounding. And if anybody's like, tapping into their own psychic stuff and channeling and doing more work, I think it's so important to be mindful of like when you open up to kind of close back down or kind of like to reorient your field to just you and then to ground the energy. I always say like with the visual of a tree, like as high as the branches grow, like the roots need to be just as deep, if not deeper. So like you can't keep reaching up without being able to like also be able to really reach down and ground. And that's just like a balance thing. So like sometimes what I'll do is I'll go out in my backyard and I'll earth. I'll like stand bare feet on like the bare ground in my backyard and just like look at the trees and like remind myself, okay, no, I'm on earth. Like I'm like a human. Like I'm not in airy fairyland anymore, like
Yeah.
I'm back, because that's really important to do if you want to like actually feel a little bit more embodied and balanced as like you move forward and not just
Hmm.
wide open and honestly really fatigued or feeling really weird
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah, it brings you back to the present moment also.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think it's very important. Another thing that I recently started doing is breath work, because I feel that it brings me back to the body because I'm focusing on the breath and like how energy flows within the physical vessel.
Hmm.
So yeah, definitely, and these are just tools that we're throwing out, but
Yeah.
definitely find what works for you because
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that you can do. But yeah, I feel that the food thing is the biggest piece that has worked for me because
Yeah.
that's been a massive shift. Whenever I start, I was like, no, I can't eat, I can't go for the apple or for like the juices or those. I have to have big meals.
Yeah.
Whenever I started doing that, oh, I started feeling so much better.
Yeah. Yeah, the same. Okay, cool. For my last couple of questions, I feel like I want to hear your thoughts on something that you have referenced a lot because I think that this will apply to every single person, whether they identify with like this super strong like starseed energy or not, is grounding and like accepting their humanity. Like you've talked about like really embracing your humanity, honoring your humanity, like really coming back down into like your 3D body and like kind of like having a reverence for that, like having a reverence for this experience. I, in my own work, which I feel like is a lot focused on people kind of processing traumas and healing some of that energy so that they can come back into their body, right? Even if your experience isn't that, I feel really connected with like a an ET alien starseed energy and this human thing is hard. Sometimes I feel like other people's versions of that story is like, I became so unsafe in my body, I can't be in my body because it's associated with these feelings of unsafety. It's associated with fear. It's associated with scarcity. So like I'm always trying to get out, distract, 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 when really a lot of our magic and our magic that we have for ourselves is when we come back and we're really able to be in our body in a safe way. So, all of that to say, I would love for you to share a little bit about what that means to you, like specifically to embrace your humanity and to really ground back into the present moment in your experience.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying earlier, like I think my rejection of my humanity was just that I didn't know how to be in the body, how to be human, how to engage with other people, to have conversations even. Like I was very just out of it completely and always fantasizing and dreaming. I'm a huge daydreamer. So I
Mm-hmm.
was always out of the body. And I feel that what helped me really come back to the body and center myself and anchor and ground was connecting to not just the earth, like nature, like walks in nature, but connecting to the ancestors, to not only the people within my lineage that have passed away, but just the ancestral consciousness in general. Like there's a park here, about 30 minutes from where I live. I often go there to connect with like this indigenous consciousness. I have no connection to them, but I really feel their energy. And I feel that just being in that energy makes me, I feel that they just project so much love for the planet and for humanity, for like the human body, for like everything that we are as a human collective. And just having that perspective that they have and seeing the spirituality that we can all embody as humans, because I feel that the indigenous people are the ones that are so closely connected and so
To the
spiritual.
earth. Yeah.
Yes. And so seeing that perspective, having that point of view also, I feel that made it easier for me to be like, I can be human and I can still be spiritual and I can still,
Mm.
be magical and have all of these quote unquote superpowers, and do all of these things. So that made it very easy for me to just be okay with being human
Mm-hmm.
and to be okay to just be present
Mm-hmm.
and to not get carried away with wanting to go on my spaceship and travel to other dimensions. I
Mm-hmm.
feel that that's what helped me a lot. And once I did this and I was able to say, okay, it's okay to be me, it's okay to be human, I began to see other humans on that same level. And I feel like there was more compassion, more empathy as well. Because I feel that at first, whenever you notice how people behave sometimes and like the actions that groups of people, corporations do, there's a lot of anger because you know the potential and you know that what's taking place is very messy and it's not really helping people. But
Mm-hmm.
once you come back to that space in which you're at peace with yourself, I feel like it harmonizes the energy within the collective around
Yeah.
you or your perception of that energy. And it's like you have compassion for those people, even
Yeah.
if you don't agree with them. And I feel that that's what made it way easier again. It was another level, accessing another level, and made it way easier for me to be okay again. Not only to be okay with being human, but with humanity, with the collective human race. And I feel that it's different levels and different steps that you have to take, but it's definitely what I recommend again. It's just connect to nature. Don't just stay in your room or stay somewhere where it feels safe. Really challenge yourself to step out because it's a period of isolation is very much needed. And that's something that I did for uh, from like 2018 to like 2022. That's all I did. I disconnected from everything because I needed to have my own perspective and my own belief system, reprogram my own conscious and my consciousness and everything. And so, definitely, if you have to isolate yourself for a bit and go out into nature, detach from the collective
Mhm.
consciousness, from what society thinks, from everything, and start making peace with yourself, with your body, with your humanity. And it's a process that takes place within yourself first, and then you are able to see everything around you differently.
Yes, I think that that's so beautiful. What I really hear too, even from my guides now, is there's something really beautiful about being human.
Hmm.
And I think it's important for you to look for that, to
Yeah.
find that. And that's true for everybody. Like, what do you think is just so beautiful? Is it nature? Is it Mother Earth? Is it being absolutely awe-inspired by like the beauty and power and
Hmm.
magic of nature? Is that where you find your sense of awe and beauty? Is where you find awe and beauty how generous and loving people can be? And like finding all of those examples. Oh my God, I'm gonna make myself emotional. Like thinking
Yeah.
about like how truly like loving and selfless that people and humans have the capacity to be with each other.
Hmm.
Is that where you find your awe and your beauty? Is it with what people create that like people can create like art and music and like all of this kind of stuff that like you look at it and you find beauty in it even though
Hmm.
they created it basically out of thin air, like
Yeah.
where do you find that sense of like awe and beauty? And really what that is joy, because you're enjoying, you're feeling pleasure from your ability to be human and in the moment, right?
Hmm.
That can like invoke this sense of magic and appreciation
Hmm.
for a lot of the wonderful components of it.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
we don't want to spiritually bypass. We want to attend to the things that also feel uncomfortable and that we don't feel
Mhm.
peace with. But like it's equally important to build that muscle to actively look for the things that like spark that deep sense of like joy and appreciation too.
And that's what the extraterrestrial consciousnesses say that they love about humanity. It's
Oh.
like how truly, again, it's like creative, how creative a lot of humans, the potential of creativity that humanity has, and
Mm,
also just the rainbow of emotions that we have as human beings.
mm,
Even the ego, like that's just such a beautiful thing that only humans or three-dimensional living beings have. And I
mhm,
think it's such it's, again, it's all about perspective. Like
mhm,
shifting the way that you see things
mhm,
really changes your entire experience. And I think that's the beauty of being human. And also, like, we are a collective consciousness, but at
mhm,
the same time we are, it's a very individual playground that we do here on earth.
mhm,
Like, I feel that we are not necessarily yet a full on collective consciousness, because there's groups of people, there's some doing this thing, there's others, I'm doing my own thing. So, and I think that's the beauty of this earth,
mhm,
that we all have a choice, we're all doing whatever we want to do. And although a lot of people say that this is sort of a jail for our spirit, I really feel that it's a playground for us to experience
mhm,
whatever we want to experience, whether it is something negative, something positive, whatever you want to do, you have the freedom to do that here. And yeah, sometimes those actions can lead to destruction and violence and injustice. But a lot of the actions, and again, it comes back to us, it's our choice. we
mhm,
have the we have the ability to create something that is good, that serves humanity,
mhm,
that anchors more light. And so, again, it's all up to us as individual beings.
mhm. Uh, I felt
Mhm.
like my like heart moved and I feel like I just received energy just from that in itself. So I hope that everybody that was listening to this podcast and this episode
Yeah.
today received that as well, because I think I can say both for Miroslava and I that we just have nothing but love, love,
Yeah.
love, love for this experience, for the people that we have the honor to connect with, for spirit that we have the opportunity to also connect with and to receive love and support and guidance from. And that there's really an unlimited potential for all the things that we want, including
Mhm.
more of all of that really yummy feelings. I would love, as we finish up, for you to tell people where they can find you, how they might be able to work with you, what kind of things that you offer. Please give us like the whole spiel.
Well, you can find me, everyone can find me all over social media. I am on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube as the Metaphysical Chick. I am on Facebook as Miroslava Casiano. I do have my website, themetaphysicalchick.com. You can find me on Etsy as the Metaphysical Chick. And I am working right now on a few courses. I am actually working on one about a self initiation into high priestesshood, channeling and tuning into the energy of Goddess Isis, Mary Magdalene, ancient Egypt. I'm also working on another mini course for the Ankh and understanding that spiritual tool, how we can utilize it. So that's not ready yet, but it will be ready soon. So definitely, if you want to stay tuned, just follow me on social media and I'll be sharing more updates as I'm getting ready to release those things. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I love it. And the last thing is that you are also the co-host of the podcast Rising
Yeah.
Gems. Everywhere, I'm pretty sure it's everywhere you can listen to podcasts, definitely on the big
Mhm.
platforms, Spotify and Apple. And I feel like I'm going to have both you and your co-host on
Yes.
for us to do an episode together around one of the big topics that you guys commonly discuss on the podcast. So you guys can keep an eye out for her to come back. But again, I just want to extend like my deepest gratitude. I enjoyed this conversation with you so much. I vibe with you. Like I
I
just
know,
do.
yeah.
I really do so much. And I think that everything that you had to share is going to be something that can really help move people. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you. Thank you. I really, again, I, like you said, I did have a lot of fun just having this conversation, but it's just this energy that just feels in alignment. And I really resonate with you and feel like we have a lot in common. So
Mhm.
yeah, I really, really enjoyed this conversation. And yeah, I'm looking forward to our next conversation. And
Yeah,
I know it's gonna be great.
absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in this week. And don't forget to tune in next Monday for more breakthroughs. I'll see you guys later.